Nothing Worthwhile, the recognized symbol of excellence in crappy podcasting.
Who is it?
Bonsai! Daniel LaRusso here for LaRusso Auto. We are chopping prices on all of our inventory. Johnny? I knew it was you. This is Johnny Lawrence. He and I go way back.
Oh, this is the guy whose ass you kicked.
If you want to get technical, I kicked his face.
Here we go, come in. Oh, I didn't know you guys were trying to buy beer.
Hey! Watch your car, man.
Get the hell out of here, loser.
Was that like Taekwondo or something? It's karate. Do you think you could teach me?
I'm driving home from work yesterday, and in this strip mall, I see... After 30 years, I thought that guy might have changed, but he's still the same prick. I heard you beat up a bunch of teenagers.
I didn't beat up any teenagers. I kicked the crap out of a bunch of assholes who deserved it.
Thinks he could bring Cobra Kai back to the valley? Yeah. Not on my watch.
You want those kids at school to keep dumping things on your head? You want all the girls to think you're a wangless dork?
You're gonna be my karate teacher?
No. I'm gonna be your sensei. I'm gonna teach you the style of karate that was taught to me. A method of fighting your pansy-ass generation desperately needs. Okay, let's see what you got.
She's a girl.
And?
I'm sorry.
Are you okay? Girl's a natural cobra.
Johnny, you and I, we aren't done.
Cobra Kai is back where it belongs. Back on top. Everyone closed the book on us. They thought we were done. But now they see that the real story's only just begun.
We are America's #1 bi-coastal podcast featuring two annoying Jews with a special guest. The name of the show is indeed Nothing Worthwhile, representing the West Coast in the 5th largest city in the U.S. That is, of course, Phoenix, Arizona. I am your host and moderator, Evan Moody. On the East Coast, it is the Kung Fu Kid in the great city of Coral Springs, Florida, Andrew Gruthius.
Good morning.
How the hell are you, my friend?
I'm much better now. It's a new year.
From what?
It's a new year, which means a new me and a new you and a new season of Cobra Kai.
Well, speaking of Cobra Kai, this episode is Cobra Kai Season 1 Roundtable, and joining us for today's podcast is friend of the show, pop culture expert herself, Miss Christina Vee. Christina, good morning, and tell our listeners a little bit about yourself.
Hi, good morning. This is Christina Valenzuela, a.k.a. Christina Vee. I got to tell you, I grew up in the MTV generation. I'm a TV junkie, and I am a huge Karate Kid fan. You know who the real Karate Kid is, and that is Johnny Lawrence. So, bit of Johnny Lawrence fan since day one, and it's good to see that there were some fans, or actually a fan of Billy Zabka on How I Met Your Mother, Barney Stinson, and it was cool to see that. And then I'm really happy to see the focus on Billy Zabka's Johnny Lawrence here in the show Cobra Kai. So super, super excited to talk about this.
Groo,
thank you for having me here. I feel so fortunate to be chosen.
Oh, so chosen. Groo, I think we're in way over our head. I mean, we're gonna get demolished.
I'm gonna get schooled.
Yeah, I understand. Well, Christina is a good friend. She's a good friend of my girlfriend Marie, and they have a common best friend, Rochelle. So every time I've seen Christina, she can rock and roll with pop culture like the best of us. So we're glad to have Christina on. But let's get to it, guys. It's 5 things we're talking about this week. Let's get your opinions. It's nothing worthwhile. The week that was.
Nothing worthwhile. The week that was.
All right, guys. Sammy Hagar outlined his final phone call this week with former Van Halen bandmate Edwin Van Halen, who died at age 65 earlier this year. Speaking to Variety in a recent interview, the former replacement lead singer of Van Halen explained that he and Eddie buried their years-long feud in a final phone call after Sammy had found out about Eddie's declining health. Sammy explained, "I want to be his friend, I want to bury the hatchet, but they never got it done." As you know, Hagar famously replaced David Lee Roth as the lead singer of Van Halen in 1985. In 1997, tensions led to Hagar splitting from the band, as well as before returning for a brief, disastrous reunion in the early 2000s. However, it seems that the tension between Sammy and Eddie had never went away. In the end, guys, it was comedian George Lopez who connected the duo before Eddie's death. When they finally got in touch, Eddie explained why he hadn't responded to Sammy's calls until then. Sammy said to him, "Why didn't you respond? I've been reaching out to you," Hagar recalled. And Eddie said, "Why didn't you call me? Don't effing call my brother. Effing call me." And I said, "I love you, man." And it was like, boom, we were good. It was a beautiful thing. Eddie's son, Wolfie, announced his death of his dad on Twitter on October 6th. Guys, thoughts on Sammy and Eddie finally burying the hatchet just prior to Eddie's death, and what could have been with Van Halen?
Well, Christina, would you like to...
And what could have been with Van Halen? What could have been with Van Halen?
Look, the whole situation was a tragedy, and I've always respected Sammy Hagar, even though my allegiance as far as musically has been with the David Lee Roth era, but I truly respect Sammy Hagar for doing that. I just think it's just another example of waiting till it's almost too late. Like, this, it just goes to show you how stupid some of these, arguments are, that it takes somebody literally to be on their deathbed to make amends, or for somebody to make amends. So, and the way he kind of like flashed it all over social media was kind of, I didn't think that was incredibly tasteful, but in this day and age of celebrities feeling that they owe things to their fans in certain ways, I guess it was okay.
What are you referencing when you said put it on social media? You talking about Sammy?
Yeah, he he wanted everybody to know that he made this call and that they made up and all that. That's great. That might be something that I would keep private between myself and whoever it was, but it also it also seemed to stir up some criticism of David Lee Roth for really not going all out, and he just basically put up one thing, which is totally fine too. But I don't know. It looked a little bit like to get some headlines, but I've always respected him, and I've always respected Sammy, and I'm not going to judge him based on any of that. I think his remorse and his love for Eddie was definitely genuine. So it was good. It was good to hear that. And as far as what could have been, well, all I'll say is, that you and I would have been in the front row for that one. That would have been.
Would you guys have been excited for a Van Halen The Kitchen Sink tour with all of the lead singers sort of intertwined? I mean, it sounded like it would have been really just an amazing tour.
Christina?
I think it'd be fantastic. I heard Wolfie talking about it on Howard Stern, and I thought, man, that would have been a great concert to go see.
I think just as important would have been the return of Michael Anthony on bass, that high harmony vocal that Van Halen was so famously so famous for. I think it would have been great. And I agree with Groo. What could have been? We've seen it a million times in pop culture and a million times probably in our own lives and families where pride, money, ego gets in the way, and sometimes it happens before it's a little bit too late.
And one thing I thought of that nobody really mentioned, David Lee Roth never really spoke about that tour or that proposed tour. And I wonder if he would have actually wanted to do it, because what the first thing would have been. The first thing would have compared Dave's waning singing abilities to Sammy's, which are still there. And I feel like Dave's ego is much as I love him, he's got a big ego, and I don't know if he would have been up for that.
Well, here, I'll answer it, and then we'll move on to the next one.
Okay.
He would have done it if the money's right, but I agree. Would his heart been in it? No. But I think if the money was right and all the guys were into it, I think he would have done it. But he's not open to sharing the stage with anybody else in terms of Van Halen universe, for sure.
Even Van Halen.
Yep. All right. Next one, possibly to Groo's dismay, Warner Brother has agreed to stream its major 2021 releases to HBO Max, the first being Wonder Woman 1984. Per the critic consensus site Rotten Tomatoes, Wonder Woman 1984 scored a 65% on the tomato meter, representing the overall marks of the movie critical community, with an overall score of 73% from the audience. The critics' consensus reads, Wonder Woman 1984 struggles with sequel overload, but still offers enough vibrant escapism to satisfy fans of the franchise and its classic central character. Groo and Christina, have you watched Wonder Woman 1984, and your thoughts on the DC Universe sequel?
Well, I got to tell you, as a woman who used to wear Wonder Woman underoos back in the day, I was very excited when the first one came out, and when the second one came out, I'm like, okay, I'm going to pay my money and get this new streaming service, just for this. And I got to tell you, I was not disappointed when I saw what the critics said. I was very disappointed with the critics because I thought it was fantastic. When I look at movies, I don't just, look at the movie. I'm looking at the visual effects. I'm looking at the costuming, the makeup, the story writing. And, I mean, that movie hit me right in the heart. And I don't want to give too much about what it's about because I don't want to spoil it for anybody. But, you see the previews and the love of her life comes back. Like, how many times have we wanted someone that we love to come back that we've lost? And so it kind of hits you in the heartstrings. I don't know, maybe these critics were Grinches, but I really enjoyed it. Great storyline. And, I hope there's another one. Little girls need Wonder Woman in their lives. And I think it's fantastic that, we have our Wonder Woman right now. So I loved it.
Groo, did you see the movie?
I did not. To speak to 2 points. First of all, I'm just kind of superheroed out at the moment. Like, it just seems like every week there's another one of these big tentpole superhero movies, and then the extended cut, and then the director's cut, and then the fans cut. It's like, and there's each one seems to need to top the previous one with like overblown special effects. And with these superhero movies, they used to be about an extraordinary person or extraordinary people in an ordinary world. Now, the worlds that they create for these heroes is just as extraordinary as they are. So they kind of look small by comparison, and it just takes away from it. So I'm really not into the whole Marvel DC thing right now. That doesn't mean I can't be brought back. And as far as what Evan said about going right to streaming, at first I was like, big deal. Doesn't make a difference. I'd see the movie anyway. It's fine. I have all the streaming services, so good. I get to sit on my fat ass and just watch it at my leisure. But then I realized as I was looking at, I read articles over the vacation or before the New Year about the Academy Award predictions, and they were giving all the movies and all the actors and all, and they were like 10. They gave 10 movies that could be considered. I did not see or even hear of one of them.
Well,
and
of course, Andy. Well, why would you? Because you're clearly, and I'm not saying you don't have a point, but I mean, obviously, superhero movies.
No. Wait. You're missing my point. No, you're missing my point. You missed my point.
Well, get to your point.
I am.
We got 3 hours. Let's go.
Now I have to start again.
Christina, see how it was supposed to be like a quick opinion?
There's no such thing. There's no such thing. It's called nothing worthwhile.
A meandering river of dreams. Go. All right. Let me hear your point.
My point is that when they don't get the proper kind of release, we still have that dismissive attitude. Oh, it's like straight to video or straight to DVD. Like there was a time when I would have gone to see any Bill Murray movie in the theater first day. Then the whole COVID thing happened. Apparently, he released 2 movies on 2 different streaming platforms that I didn't even know about. So if that's going to be the future, it's going to take a lot of adjustments on all of our parts because we won't be able. There won't be these big advertising blitzes. They won't be. It will be very different. Hopefully, I'm hoping this is temporary.
Hold on. By adjustments, do you mean left cheek, the right cheek on the couch?
Well, now, I mean that's what we deal with now, But the adjustments that I mean are we have to change the way we watch movies, in some fashion. Gone are the days where, or at least for now, where we'd be like, yeah, we're going to the Regal and we're going to go, sit and we're going to put the stupid hats on and we're going to throw popcorn at the screen. I mean, there was a novelty to going to the movies. It wasn't just about what was playing. So I think we're losing that. And I don't know. There's just something missing.
Well, what's missing was actually Christina answered the question. She said about Wonder Woman 1984. You went into a long.
Well, because I didn't see it. What am I going to say about it?
So then you say you didn't see it. What I will say, Christina, I did see it, and I was a little bit disappointed. I thought the villains were weak. You took Pedro Pascal, who I love in The Mandalorian. Mm-hmm. He's basically a guy who finds a genie in a bottle, and Kristen Wiig as the cheetah. She's a comedic actress. She does a great. Listen, I agree. The movie's beautifully shot. It's kind of similar how I thought about 2010 Karate Kid. It's beautifully shot. They put a ton of money into it. But I will just say, comparative to the first one, First Wonder Woman was by far, I thought, a superior movie. I just never bought into the villains as much. But it's a wonderfully shot movie, and it looks like they're going to make a third one for sure. It did pretty well in the movie theater despite the pandemic and HBO Max. So we'll see where we go with the Wonder Woman and the DC franchise.
It wasn't too bad. I mean, it wasn't like lightning in a bottle like Superman 1 and 2 with Christopher Reeves. I mean, that part 2 of Superman was fantastic. You're not going to get that, but I think that the critics were a little too harsh on it because, it was enjoyable. I didn't have an eye-rolling moment like I did in Aquaman with the octopus playing the bongos. I didn't have one of those. So it was pretty cool. I liked it.
I have that Octopus's new CD. I just downloaded off Apple Music. It's on my playlist. Well, I don't know if Christina will be able to respond to this next one because I did these notes at the time. But guys, last Saturday, December 26th, wrestler John Huber died at the age of 41 from non-COVID related lung issues. Huber spanned a successful wrestling career after joining Chikara, Squared Circle Wrestling, and Dragon Gate in Tokyo before joining World Wrestling Entertainment in 2012 under the name of Luke Harper. WWE also reflected on Huber's accomplishments in the ring and issued this statement saying WWE is saddened to learn that John Huber, known to WWE fans as Luke Harper, passed away today at the age of 41. Known as both Luke Harper and Brody Lee in the ring, Huber found success in every stop of his sports entertainment career as his soft-spoken yet imposing presence helped him create countless awe-inspiring moments in the ring. Harper debuted, guys, in NXT as the menacing enforcer for the Wyatt family. Harper had a dominant tag team run with Eric Rowan that would lay groundwork for future championship successes. As a member of the Wyatt family, he engaged in heated rivalries with the likes of Kane, Daniel Bryan, The Shield, John Cena, and the Usos. He also won the tag team titles with Rowan in a triple threat match at WrestleMania 34, which grew, I believe we were there live. WWE extends its condolences to Huber's family, friends, and fans. I'll throw it to the group. Thoughts on John Huber, Groo, Christina, famously known as Luke Harper, dead at the age of 41.
Well, obviously very...
Dead at the age of 41.
Obviously very sad.
Dead at the age of...
How old was he?
41.
Yeah. Obviously very
Think about that.
Yeah, it's very sad, very sudden and tragic. I thought Luke Harper was terrific in the WWE, especially with the Wyatt family. You and I have talked about him. Like, he was always fun to watch, commanded your attention, said little, did a lot, and just non-COVID lung issue. I mean, that's kind of odd. I don't get it. But I'm sure more will come out. You know, I think it's important for people, especially kids, to see, to know how these people are. I don't even know how to say it. It's important for us to know. It's important for people to know what happened. Whether certain things were involved as cautionary tales, especially for public figures. But he will be missed. I was really disappointed when he went to AEW. I really liked him in the WWE. And condolences to his family, to everybody who knew him personally, and rest in peace, John Huber.
Yeah, I think he actually had lung issues. I think from what I read, he was off TV for about 3 months, and they kept it a secret. The family asked for privacy. I don't know too much more than your comments. I don't think it was COVID related, and I think he did have some kind of chronic lung issue that obviously caused him a lot of problems.
Yeah, it's just too bad.
Yeah,
Christina, Christina, are you into WWE also?
Okay, don't boo me, but I haven't watched wrestling since WWF and Glow back in the day. So
Globe, all right.
Wrestling.
Au contraire, no boos here. Standing ovation.
Well, I'll tell you what. If we ever get live touring again, which actually I'm reading the WWE. In terms of U.S. domestic touring, probably will not come back in any kind of major form after COVID. That they're really committed to doing their television product and then the big pay-per-views once a month, and perhaps overseas. The overseas, India, England, where the fans really don't get a constant interaction with the WWE, that they'll probably still do those international tours, which are worth a lot of money. But domestically, you're not going to see a house show, Groo and Christina, at Comerica Theater in Phoenix, probably anymore, or limited, very limited.
But hey, you mentioned something very interesting there. India, if they did a WrestleMania or something in India, should we go there and do a live version of this show? We have a lot of fans there.
Hell yeah, but they seem to just listen to one podcast, the Goldberg podcast.
Well, either way, who cares? We should do like a Pritchard thing with, bring out special guests, and we can do that.
Christina, what Groo's referencing, if you look on our statistics, I think something like 70% of our last 30 days of downloads come from India and about maybe 15% from the United States. So screw all of you in the U.S. who don't listen to us. Damn it. So, listen, guys, speaking of background, this week, Hilaria, Hillary Baldwin opened up about being accused of her fake Hispanic background, insisting it was everyone else's fault for assuming she was Spanish. Alec Baldwin's wife told the New York Times in an interview posted early Wednesday that she has always hidden her parents' true background as bourgeois Bostonians. Let's face it, they're just plain old white people, purely in an innocent attempt to protect their privacy. She claimed, when we weren't in Spain, we brought Spain into our home. This was compounded, guys, by her reps at CAA using unverified information from the internet to write a sloppy, careless bio about her, which she claims she was unaware of. Similar mistakes led to magazines like Hola and Latina repeatedly calling her a Spaniard, including on cover stories. She was initially exposed with a most famous viral video of her, seemingly to forgetting the English word cucumber while speaking with a heavy Spanish accent on a Today Show cooking segment. The mysterious online Twitter user started an analysis of Baldwin's background, also spoke to the New York Times. That after being granted anonymity, as she famously fears the hot-headed husband, Alec Baldwin. It just seems so strange to me that no one has ever come out and said it, especially for someone who gets so much attention. At Lenny Briscoe said of Hillary's faltering Spanish accent. Neither CAA nor Hola magazine responded to the Times article about the claims of the errors in her background. Groo and Christina, are you buying any of this? And why do so many people today lie about their background?
Well, first of all, I want my money back. I want my votes back. I want my heart back. I want my life back. I feel so violated. And I only have one question. Who gives a shit? Why is this even news? I didn't even know who she was, and I don't care. Let her be who she wants to be. Oh my God. And I was reading this, and I found it interesting that the New York Post decided to put it on the front page of their goddamn newspaper. With all the shit that's going on in the country, they're focusing on that. As far as I'm concerned, there's nothing to talk about. Who cares? I ask both of you. Who cares? Is there a reason for us to care about this?
Well, I said it's pop culture. I didn't claim it's.
She's not even pop culture. Who is she? She's the wife of a
You're such an apologist. I mean, this woman has lied. She's grifted a background to be, more in the in crowd. I mean, I just find it. We've had this before with other people. It's for discussion. But boy, you've really changed. So let's move on.
How have I changed? How have I changed?
I mean, you're not offended that somebody in the mainstream has lied about that background in order to
mainstream? I didn't even know who she was until this happened.
Oh please. Okay, well then we'll just I'm going to change my name. I'm going to change my name. It's Nothing Worthwhile with Evaristo, Moody, and Andy Groo.
Well, that would be a 45-year deception we're talking about. This is much ado about nothing. Christina, okay. you were nodding. Wait a second, Christina, you were nodding when I was saying that. Can we hear from you, please?
Yes. So here it is. Like, she was his yoga instructor. She ended up winning his heart, got married to him, has his kids, and she's trying to get on TV, with Entertainment Tonight and all this.
With a lie.
Yeah, with a lie. Here it is. I really don't care about her. She needs to go away. I'm like rolling my eyes that this is even news. She's a nobody. I really don't care about her. And the lying, she's exposed. Okay, so she just needs to go away. Kind of like what was it? The Simpsons character, Homer Simpson in like the Little Shrub. She just needs to go away. This is lame, and I can't believe this is like top news.
Yeah, I agree.
So she got what she wanted. She's getting the exposure. Let's not give her any more.
Okay, I agree with that. Let me ask a question, because, like I said, I didn't know who she was. Did she profit from the lie? Was that the purpose of the lie? She was already
Christina,
married.
why don't you answer that? Christina, why don't you answer that? Do you think Hilaria Baldwin profited off of the lie?
I'll tell you why I asked, though. Before you answer.
Like okay. I don't know. She wants to be exotic.
I mean, I'm gonna say you guys are, Christina. You sounded like you're full of, what? You're gonna tell me she didn't profit? She's on the cover of Hola magazine. Even I've heard of Hola magazine. That's a massive Hispanic publication. That's even I've heard of it. So she's Instagram. She's putting out videos, mommy videos. Yoga. you're not going to sit there and tell me. Well, I mean, I believe she's clearly profited off of
Absolutely.
her association with her husband, but also her association as being Hispanic, being more exotic. I mean, that's been a main push. I mean, come on, guys. She goes on the Today Show and says,
so that's why I asked.
How do you say cucumbers?
That's why I asked.
That's just lame.
Concombre.
Come on.
As a Latina, I want to tell you this. I didn't see her being a Latina. I never even thought she was a Latina. Just, when she was introduced, I'm like, oh, it's another lady from New York that is privileged and just gets to do yoga all day.
And by the way, to go to Groo's comments, I said this was pop culture. We're talking about silly stuff. So I'm not claiming that this is CNN. I'm just getting, some thoughts.
Wait, no, you're misunderstanding me. No, wait, stop.
I just want to say one thing. I just want to say one thing because I sound like a jerk just now. Privileged getting to do yoga. I love that people get to do yoga. I wish I could do yoga all day. So that's just, if you're able to do that, I'm happy for you. I'm not knocking anyone that gets to do yoga all day. But
Christina, she claims to have been born in Mallorca. By the way, and I'm not. But if you want to go to this specific article, she claimed to be born in Mallorca, Spain. She never was. She was born in Boston, and she lived in a $4 million home. I think both her parents are college professors, and they had to get in on the lie because if you see, I've read that they've been interviewed and they've say Hillary, oops, hilarious. It's just in this day and age of appeal and diversity. And then the other thing is, how does somebody that's all right, you don't know, you've never heard of her, but she's somewhat in the public eye, how do they think they're going to get away with this kind of lie that in the age of social media, Instagram, Facebook, somebody's going to come out of the closet and say, I knew you all those years ago.
Especially when you're married to Alec Baldwin, who is like the enemy of the New York Post. And they're always digging for shit.
Get off the New York Post. Why don't you reference an article from CNN, and I'll go into your
CNN covered it too.
CNN
covered it too. CNN covered it as well.
I'll tell you what. You run the research next week. You spend hours pulling up articles, and then I'll just shit all over it. I'm not claiming that this is important stuff.
No, but I'm glad. No, listen. You're misunderstanding me. All right? I'm not criticizing your choice of story here. I'm criticizing the fact that it's even a story out there. Obviously, you should cover it, and I'm glad you did. I'm not saying that it's you. It's it. So the reason. Wait.
You don't think it's some? Let me just ask this to the group. You don't think it's somewhat ironic that Alec Baldwin, forget his wife. Now, let me be clear. I'm not a fan of Alec Baldwin personally, but I think he's an extremely talented actor. But he's a guy who goes on these platforms, these shows, and, he's very opinionated. Forget even politics, about life and how to live and this, that, and the other thing. And now, I just find it very ironic that his wife, she's lied the whole time. And yes, I do believe she's not only profited from it, she's greatly profited from it.
All right. Well, if she has, which it seems like that she has, then it's wrong and it should be dealt with. But the way they were going crazy with it and like sort of diverting attention from more important matters was really annoying. But the question that I wanted to ask was, does this compare to, remember that guy who wrote a fake autobiography and was like on Oprah and like a whole thing? And then
yes, the author. I remember
that. Because that he was selling books, profiting from a lie in a big way. Is this on that level?
Well, that's a matter of opinion. I mean, I think he clearly profited from it, and I think she has. She's a big Instagram, yoga. I don't know. Listen, in that sense, I don't know a lot about her, but she's always on these morning shows, cooking, books, videos, yoga, this kind of mommy. I think she has maybe columns in Ola magazine. So she's clearly profited from it. To what extent? That's a matter of opinion, but I would say it's somewhat similar to, maybe the author is slightly worse in a sense because he's putting it in printed form and he's claiming that information to be himself. But again, she's claiming to have a background that's untrue, and maybe people are buying her products thinking she's a Hispanic or Spaniard and blah 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 blah. Look, I just wanted to get everyone's quick opinion on it. I'm not trying to put any more weight on it, but yes, do I love when celebrities who come on and dictate to us how to think, and they're prawning and preening, and do I love when they get outed? I love it, and you used to too.
I still do.
Okay, but
whatever. I said, I didn't even know who she was. That's
okay.
That's
well, now
point.
you know.
Now I know.
You did know, and you had to know in some avenue because you knew the New York Post put it on the front page of its cover, so you had to know something about her.
No,
so you lie.
Yeah, no,
I'm exposing you. You're a liar. Our next show, what?
Yes, but I've been lying. I've been lying to you my whole life.
Christina,
you know
Groo wants to be a man of the people. He went to private middle school in Long Island. How dare you?
They kicked me out. They kicked me out. I was what's her name? I was Tori. They kicked me out. They expelled me.
Before we let's end this disastrous segment with one more pop culture note. Finally, guys, Cyndi Lauper said goodbye to 2020 in the most appropriate way by giving sort of an out-of-tune performance on live TV. The 67-year-old, which I put an exclamation point because I did not know that Cyndi Lauper is 67 years old. And damn, do I feel old.
I thought she was older.
67-year-old performed True Colors in her new single, Hope, on Dick Clark's Rockin' New Year's Eve with Ryan Seacrest. By the way, why do we still have to have Dick Clark's name attached to the New Year? I mean, is that part of his intellectual property?
Well, yeah.
Probably the honor.
I mean, come on.
Yeah, I agree. I agree with you.
Ryan Seacrest, boring New Year's Eve on ABC.
I was watching Andy. I was watching Andy and Anderson.
Yeah, yeah. He texted me. Yeah, you want to come out and say something about your background right now? Do you want to make a comment how Andy Cohen bashed Mayor de Blasio on live TV, Mr. Democratic?
I'm not a Democrat.
Of course not.
I am not a Democrat.
Lauper's glam team attempted to give her a touch-up on camera, having Lauper scream, "I'm on camera! I'm on camera!" The chaotic performance called to mind fellow diva Mariah Carey's disastrous 2016 New Year's Eve showing, in which she was unable to hear her own monitor song track, ultimately giving up and standing on the stage with her mouth closed and her hand on her hip. On stage, Cyndi Lauper jumped around while attempting to sing in tune. Guys, we'll try this one, last one. Any thoughts on an aging Cyndi Lauper and the notion that New Year's Eve shows are sort of becoming passé and maybe a thing of the past?
She didn't sing in tune when she was younger. I don't see the big surprise.
Okay, see,
there.
that's a good take. Thank you, Andrew. Okay,
what's wrong with that?
Yeah,
I said that's a good take.
Oh, okay. But yes,
she looks good for her age, and she's doing Activa commercials. I think I saw her in one of those commercials. She's getting older, and like you said, she wasn't really much of a great singer, but her songs were fun. When we were younger, we liked to sing them, and but these New Year's Eve shows, I was really excited. I watched the Ryan Seacrest one, and I shut it off after Miley Cyrus because I'm like, who are these other people? I didn't recognize them, and their songs were crap, but I really enjoyed Miley.
I'm still waiting.
I watched, Christina, I watched a clip, and it's like New York is barren. There's like three people like in a green frogman suit run like on the street, and I'm thinking to myself, forget Cyndi Lauper. I don't know, maybe it's my age, but I used to be excited for these shows, and now it's like I'll just watch Cobra Kai. Like I got streaming, I got all these choices. I just feel like maybe these New Year's Eve shows are sort of becoming a thing of the past.
Well, every year I always tune in just because I'm hoping to see once again the great Adrian Zemed and Priscilla Barnes introducing Night Ranger on New Year's Rockin' Eve, but it never seems to happen. So yeah, I mean, no, I was just the only reason I watch it is because I do like to see the thing drop in Times Square.
Yeah, you like to see a thing drop, right?
I like to see many things drop. But yes, I do believe that it's enough. Well, you have one, pick one, and then I like what some of the other channels do. They do the year that was, retrospective, things like that. Why make these people work on New Year's Eve when there's really no reason to? You know what I mean?
I mean, there's got to be nothing like a drunk Andy Cohen and Anderson Cooper taking the shots of tequila. God, that's just scintillating television.
Yeah.
No, I mean, I think that all of them now. I agree. I mean, I rather watch streaming or just like a theme show about the year, or binge watch movies with a New Year's Eve like stuff like that. I don't know. I don't seem to get amped up for these New Year's Eve shows like I used to.
Me neither.
Well, I'm usually out and having a good time. Last year I was on a cruise ship celebrating the New Year, so I'm usually not in front of a television. But I remember when I was younger, when I couldn't go out, when I wasn't 21 and able to have fun out there, and it wasn't like it used to be. I was a little disappointed, and I felt kind of guilty turning it off. I didn't even watch the ball drop, but I just kind of like looked at my cell phone, and I'm like, okay, it's midnight. So that was like, the year 2020. That's how it felt.
Yeah, I think at midnight I said, Braxton, you have to go potty. I took our puppy out for a walk. So anyway, well, that was nothing worthwhile the week that was. We'll dump that disastrous segment for.
No, I liked it. I liked it.
Thank you, Andrew. All right, guys, let's scale back to our last podcast. Neither rain, no snore, no sleet, nor COVID, nor technical difficulties could prevent us from finally completing our last podcast. It was indeed the final vestiges of the Karate Kid cinematic universe. It was the Karate Kid, the best of the rest. We talked about the next Karate Kid and the 2010 Karate Kid reboot starring Jaden Smith and Jackie Chan. Guys, we discussed the following in regards to the Karate Kid, the best of the rest. Why no more Ralph Macchio as Daniel LaRusso? No more Robert Mark Kamen and John G. Avildsen. Cast of the next Karate Kid. The really, really ridiculous plot of the next Karate Kid. Commercial and critical reaction to the film. The behind-the-scenes development of the 2010 reboot. Filming notes on the 2010 Karate Kid. The plot of the film. Critical and commercial reaction to the reboot. And will there be a sequel with Jaden Smith and Jackie Chan? So let's see here. Ironically enough, some of the viewer email centered around Groo's comments about Conan O'Brien. So let's get to it, Groo. If you got it queued up, let's get to it. Viewer mail.
Letters, we got your letters. We got your letters every day. Mailman ding dong, give me a letter today.
All right, please check us out on our Facebook fan page. It's I don't know, what is it, Nothing Worthwhile 1985, Facebook. I usually have it in my notes. I don't have it today.
I forgot.
Right off the bat, Groo, there were comments, and again, I know I was still a little COVID depressed because I remember you saying this, and I didn't comment on it, but Groo must have mentioned that Conan O'Brien, of all things, misplayed his Tonight Show firing. Comments say, come on, Groo, they never gave him a chance, could be a future podcast topic. Groo, my remembrance was Conan was clearly seen by most media outlets as the sympathetic figure in the whole Tonight Show debacle. Groo, care to comment about Conan O'Brien and the Tonight Show firing?
Yes, I think that, number one, I guess the way I worded it, whatever I said, was a little misleading. Once he got the Tonight Show, yes, it was very mishandled by the other side. But what I've known about, because I read 2 books about it, and it was pretty much common knowledge, is that he kind of, when everything was going fine, he was on late night, doing great. Leno was doing the Tonight Show. They were, you say what you want about the quality, they were reaping the rewards of the ratings. And Conan O'Brien and his team gave NBC an ultimatum, said if we're not in the Tonight Show seat within a certain amount of time, we're going to leave. And that is where I thought he misplayed his hand. You just don't do that. And that's what kind of caused them to sort of say, all right, Leno, 5 years, we'll get out in 5 years. And Leno didn't want to get out, but he agreed to it. And then the whole debacle happened.
Okay.
So I believe it was Conan who was the catalyst of it.
Hold that thought. Christina, are you familiar with the whole Tonight Show wars, and any thoughts on Conan O'Brien, Jay Leno from a bunch of years ago?
I only remember is, Jay Leno was very sneaky about that. He went into retirement. He came out of retirement. I was never really a Jay Leno fan. But I'm really liking the new Tonight Show. So that's just my opinion. I never really liked Jay.
So, me being the final arbiter, no, I'm joking, but Christina is clearly correct. Groo, I'm surprised at your comments because, I mean, Conan's doing a power play, which we see all the time. We see it in our own jobs. I mean, he says, I'm talented enough, I want this position in X number of years. I think where, the sympathy came from was, they went with O'Brien, Jay went away, then they brought him back on that 10 o'clock show, which was a nightmare, but Conan certainly didn't garner the numbers I think that Jay had in the Tonight Show. And then within a couple of years, I think, what did they give Conan, a year and a half max on the Tonight Show, and then he was gone. And so
6 months.
My memories. I do agree with Christina. I think Jay came off as he got a lot of bad press. Actually,
absolutely, and probably much of it was deserved. I remember at the time I said if I was Jay Leno, I would not do this 10 o'clock thing. I would say I have all the money in the world. I can go do my stand-up gigs. I don't need to do this. That's where Leno really tarnished his legacy. Do you really feel that Conan misplayed it by saying to NBC, "Hey, I'm on a timeline. I want this crack at the Tonight Show by this time, or I'm going to take my talents elsewhere." I mean, athletes do it all the time. Yeah, and I don't like it when that happens either, because if you're basically saying, okay, if I am Tom Brady's backup quarterback, okay, and Tom Brady is still getting ring after ring after ring, that's like me saying, okay, if Tom Brady isn't out of here in 3 years, I am. And when you have a winning formula,
I am shocked to hear you say that. I mean,
why?
Isn't that capitalism? Isn't that people could take their talents? I mean, that backup quarterback, maybe he feels he could take a team to the championship.
But you don't do it. You don't do it in that way. You don't push a guy out when he's at the top of his game financially and ratings wise. You say, I have 3 years left on my contract, and I'm just letting you know I'm going to be fielding offers. That's what you do. You don't say, listen, that's what you do. You don't say, I know this guy's making you hundreds of millions of dollars. I know that he's number one. I know. But guess what? It's my time, so get rid of him. You can't. I mean, that's silly, I think.
I think that's a matter of opinion. I think if he said to NBC, look, if I'm not running the deal by X time, I'm taking, I'm out. I mean, that's just a different way, maybe not a nice way, but it's just a different way of saying, hey, you got a guy above me, I'm going to take my talents to another network and see how you do. I think it's a matter of opinion. I hear what you're saying, but
yeah, I just but after that, beyond that, it was Conan who got the shaft in every way, without a doubt. Mm-hmm. I do sympathize with that, but the catalyst of the entire thing was his quote unquote demand. And that kind of, it doesn't even the playing field, but it changes it a little bit, I think.
All right, guys. Speaking back to the next Karate Kid, comment said I had planned on seeing the next Karate Kid based on the podcast, but after hearing your description, it's hard to believe a movie like that was actually made. Monks? ? Yes, it's all true. Monks, yeah. I mean, when when they had the cranberries and the monks started dancing, I was out. That was it for me. Thank you guys. Appreciate it.
Wait a minute. That was.
We'll never watch
hold on.
Never watch that movie.
Evan,
hold on. You've not watched the next Karate Kid?
Evan, cover your ears for a second. Christina, is that what you know who meant when she was talking about dancing to the cranberries and dreams in what we just saw? Oh my God! Did they throw in a next Karate Kid reference? Oh boy!
I don't know because I haven't seen the movie.
I
refuse as a Karate Kid fan not to watch that movie. It should be the Kung Fu Kid because they're in China.
That's what I said.
Well, hold on. That's the Hilary Swank That's the continuation of Mr. Miyagi. Now, the Kung Fu Kid, that's the 2010 reboot. And a reader wrote, if memory serves, the Will Smith movie was almost a word-for-word. In some instances, like the first one, they did not try and hide the fact. So I would not call the Karate Kid, the 2010 reboot, a word-for-word reboot, but it definitely grifts many of the major plot points, as Groo mentioned in the last podcast. I mean, Groo made a good point. In the 2010 reboot, when Jackie Chan has Jaden Smith take off his coat, pick it up, take off. We saw it. We saw it 30 years or 35 years earlier with Mr. Miyagi and Daniel-san. So, Groo or Christina, any comments on the 2010 reboot picking up many of the major plot points as the Karate Kid original?
I don't see. I don't see the plot points. Yes, word for word. I'm not recalling.
Right, I agree with you. But don't you think, I mean, it's like you said, the jacket, the cupping with the injury, he's got, they use the cupping with the injury. There's even sort of the philosophy, Jackie Chan explains that painting, and that becomes sort of the inspiration for the final karate move at the end of the tournament. Am I talking out of my head right now?
No, those are the tropes. Those are the that they.
Yeah, Mr. Han had trauma just like Mr. Miyagi.
Yeah. They it wasn't word for word, but they took the beats of the original and tried to be innovative with them, and they ended up just going sideways instead of forward.
I think it's generally safe to say that we both did not enjoy the next Karate Kid, though, sorry, Christina, we did enjoy Hilary Swank and her belly shirts.
I didn't see that one either. I didn't watch.
The crux of the debate beyond Hilary Swank's belly shirts was the 2010 reboot. As Andy, I think, said, we both felt, and Andy can correct me if I'm speaking out of turn, we both felt it was somewhat an enjoyable, maybe competent movie is the better term for it, that perhaps was weighted down with the Karate Kid name. It really offered nothing new in terms of plot points, and it did repeat many of the plot cliches, which did not work this time around. For me, I actually thought it was going to be hot garbage, because Andy had said to me, hey, he never really got into it because he wouldn't ruin it for me, but I wasn't expecting much. But I have to admit that I did enjoy the movie. It kept my attention, though it did not live up to the expectations of the original film. So Christina already said she has. Have you seen the 2010 reboot, Christina? I don't know if that was. Did you see that one?
That's the one with Jaden Smith, right?
Yeah. Have you seen that one?
Yeah. No, I'm sorry. That's the one I refuse to watch. I won't watch it at all. I feel like Rocky V. It didn't happen. I'm just adamant about it. I'm kind of mad at Will Smith, the way Ben Affleck's character's mad at him in Jersey Girl. Just wish it never happened. Wish he never had the rights. And I didn't see the Hilary Swank one because there was no, Ralph Macchio. I just didn't feel right. So, I'm a purist.
Well, Groo, Christina gave her thoughts. I'll throw it to you to wrap it up. Thoughts on our last podcast, Groo, the Karate Kid, the best of the rest.
Well, it's all been said. We agree that that the Karate Kid 2010 is a competent movie, but should exist outside of the Karate Kid thing. It should have been something else. It's weighted down, like you said, by the fact it's a cash grab. It looks like a cash grab. So they could have done something. They had a chance to do something new and something innovative, and they chose, let's treat our audience like idiots. So that's what they did with that. And then the next Karate Kid, God bless them, but they just, they figured, let's turn Miyagi into a cartoon character, and we'll have some fun with him. We'll lighten things up a little bit, and it just did not. It didn't fly. It was obvious they got very little money because it really looks like a bad TV movie. And the less said about it, the better.
It's funny you mention that because I listened to the podcast, and in the opener, you played the trailer to the next Karate Kid, and it's like it starts off real serious, like Miyagi has spent his life training, and it's like, they play little clips of the first couple of Karate Kid movies. He's very serious. Then it's like, but nothing prepared him for wacky, zany teenage girl. And I'm like, I was like, I laughed to myself hearing the trailer, and I said, it's just like you described. It's like, let's take this real serious character and put him, he's got to watch a teenage girl for 2 weeks in suburbia. Let's see what happens. It's just
could have been a hit sitcom, but not a movie.
Well, let's go from a downer to an upper, so to speak. As we start to dip our toes into Cobra Kai. Guys, what did you think when you heard about the television series Cobra Kai coming to YouTube Red? Cobra Kai based on the Karate Kid universe. What were your initial thoughts?
Christina?
I was stoked, let me tell you. Prior, I had seen, I met Billy Zabka and Ralph Macchio at a Comic-Con here in Phoenix. And I just was hoping and praying something would happen, and it did. At first, I thought it was going to be a movie, and then didn't realize it was going to be a series. When I found out it was going to be a series, I was very excited because they could really jump in, and you're getting more than you would from a movie. I shared with you guys that I went to the screening of episode 1 of Cobra Kai at our local movie theater, and right after episode 1, they showed the original Karate Kid, and I got to tell you, I wanted more. I was upset that I had to wait for YouTube Red to post it, and I normally don't like to spend money on streaming, but it was so worth it, and I loved it. I was one of the first people to watch it when it first aired on YouTube Red, so loved it.
You know what? It sounds like we're all polar opposites with streaming services. Christina doesn't like to spend money on streaming. Groo spends all of his money on streaming, and I spend some of my money on streaming. So there.
We've covered all the bases.
Thanks, Groo. Groo, your initial thoughts when you read, hey, Cobra Kai is coming to YouTube. It's going to extend the Karate Kid universe.
I was excited in a very, nostalgic way, meaning this will be fun. It'll be stupid. It'll be silly. It'll be a parody. But it'll be great to see these guys have some fun, and it won't last, and it'll be fluff, but it'll be fun fluff. That was my reaction when I heard about it. As simple as that. As simple as that.
Guys and girls, just how did this television series come to be? Courtesy of BusinessInsider.com. The article is how they turned their obsession with the Karate Kid into YouTube Red's first hit television show. It talks about filmmakers John Hurwitz, Hayden Schlossberg, and Josh Held. I bet you they celebrated Hanukkah. Oh! Okay, thanks, guys. The three of them grew up around the iconic 1984 movie. The movie was an ultimate telling of a kid overcoming a bully, but also showed the importance of respect, hard work, and a killer 1980 soundtrack. Hurwitz, Schlossberg, and Held were childhood friends and stayed in touch when they began their careers in Hollywood. Hurwitz and Schlossberg launched the successful Harold and Kumar Go to White Castle, which I am a fan of, franchise, while Held was the story creator and one of the screenwriters of the Hot Tub Time Machine franchise, the original starring William Zabka. The idea of continuing to tell the story from the original characters from the Karate Kid intrigued them, but as Christina and Groo have mentioned, the franchise rights are owned now by Will Smith's Overbrook Entertainment production company, which made, of course, as we said, the Karate Kid 2010 reboot. So the guys behind Harold and Kumar and Hot Tub Time Machine felt like they would not get a fair shake to make that serious movie. Streaming services became into vogue, and they said, you know what, let's shift the focus from a movie to a television show. Schlossberg said the changes and the evolution of TV led us to think that a television series could work. So they had to get a meeting with Overbrook Entertainment and then gain the trust of Ralph Macchio. The first hurdle was for the guys to get the rights to the next Karate Kid. As we said, it was owned by Smith's Overbrook, but also the estate of Jerry Weintraub, who produced the original movie, and the studio that released it, Sony. They were able to get a meeting with Caleb Pinkett, who I'm sure is related to Jada Pinkett, head of creative at Overbrook. And basically they went into the meeting and they said, hey, look, if you guys want to do another Karate Kid feature, you could still do that, but similar to Marvel, let's create a universe, a television show, around the movies. To their shock, Pinkett didn't need much convincing. The 40-minute pitch turned into a strategy meeting on how to get the show off the ground. They took it right to Jerry Weintraub's estate, and they said, he was like, we're doing the show. The next hurdle was getting Ralph Macchio on board. They had already committed, Zabka had already committed to production. They turned their attention to Macchio. None of us knew him, Held said, but we had heard he was very hesitant to engage with anything Karate Kid related over the years. And despite our fandom, the article goes on to say that some of the things of the Karate Kid universe have grown into somewhat of a punchline in the pop culture universe over the years. And that it didn't help that beyond Karate Kid Part 2, all of the sequels had not made a lot of money and were nowhere near as popular as the first two movies. They were not going to take no for an answer from Macchio. They came into a lunch meeting with Ralph Macchio very prepared. It turned into a 4-hour meeting. They answered all of his questions and all of his concerns, and they got Macchio on board. After Cobra Kai launched on YouTube Red, the show was immediately praised by critics. It got a 100% rating on Rotten Tomatoes, and as the show reportedly performed better than many of the shows on Netflix and Hulu. The show just didn't have strong character development for its leads, Macchio and Zabka, but also introduced younger characters who are going through their own issues and who will be influenced by both the older characters for better and for worse. Schlossberg said, we have said all along there's no real character that's off limits from the movies. We want to make sure that we're introducing the characters the right way. We want it to feel impactful and to be connected to the stories we're telling. So what turned out to be perhaps a failed movie pitch morphed into a television series, heightened by the rise of streaming services. Guys, any thoughts on the development or the notes of the Cobra Kai television show?
Well, I wonder what questions Macchio had for the guys. Was it like, can I quit my day job at the car wash? Because all right, that fell flat.
Well, I think though the article does. I gave a quick synopsis as quick as I can, but I did note that it was not curious, but as many. I won't call him a child star, but many people. Groo, you were in Hollywood for a time. Actors, actresses, they get that one classic role, and then it seems like they spend the rest of their career trying to distance from that role to try to get other work. Macchio has had some other, performances of note, but his career has been relatively quiet post Karate Kid. Wouldn't you say?
Yeah, absolutely, and
my cousin Vinny.
Yeah,
Christina.
He had my cousin Vinny that he did pretty well with, but then it was really his role as Daniel-san that he's known for. Even though my cousin Vinny did very well.
Well, yeah, because I think that the Karate Kid, I think it might still remain the only movie where he is the star. Like I can't really think of any other ones. My cousin Vinny, he was not the star. He was.
That's a supporting role. He was a supporting role.
Yeah, and I can't really think of any other movie that he was in. The closest maybe he came was Beer League, but Artie Lang was the star of Beer League. He was great, and Ralph was great in that. But he never really headlined anything after the Karate Kid of note.
Well, he did Crossroads, and I don't know if you guys.
I remember it.
Pretty good movie,
the guitar movie.
Really,
Yeah, no, that's it's not a bad movie, but nobody saw it except people like you and I.
Right.
Because I am and always have been a big fan of his. He's from my hometown. If you didn't know that, we went to the same high school.
Wow.
Yeah, I think but I think he was very protective of the legacy of the Karate Kid and his association with it. So I don't think it was like him having to, looking for work. I think it was him being very reluctant to mess with what had come before. So I respect that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Well, look, guys, before we get into our Season 1 roundtable, let's take a little bit of a break because you know what time it is, guys. It's New You time. Come on, everybody. New You Life Center is karate kicking. Hee-yah! The competition. They're judo chopping. Hoo-yah! The competition in half. You want balance? You've come to the right place. Come on, guys. New You, New You, New You. Everybody, sing it with me. New You, New You, New You. All right.
I'm sorry. I gotta take my meds. I'm sorry.
Well, go ahead and take your meds. We want to congratulate New You Life Center on being Entrepreneur Magazine. The lovely and talented Marie received the email just a few days ago, and she is so very proud and excited. We want to congratulate Marie and Dr. Cynthia on that high honor. Yeah, everybody, come on. Did everyone leave me? I'm doing this commercial read on my own. All right, well, today